Welcome to part 4 of this HTML for Beginners course. In this part, we are going to learn about HTML headings and paragraph elements. And we're going to start with headings. Right now, as you can see, I have opened VS Code on my left here, and I have opened this HTML document that I have here, which you can do by revealing in File Explorer and just double clicking on it, and it's going to open your HTML in your browser. So to create our first heading, we can simply type H, and you see H1 to H6 pops up. These are the heading tag elements. So if you write H1 and we simply press enter, we get the element, and our cursor is in the inside of the element where we can write our actual text. So this is a level 1 heading. And we save that and we refresh our page, and there we see our level 1 heading has shown up. What we can do now is we can continue to write our level 2 heading, which is a slightly smaller heading. Level 2 heading. Save that, refresh, and as we can see, it's smaller. Headings are basically the titles of your web page. And what you want to do is to always start with an H1 followed by an H2 followed by an H3, etc., etc. This is how you write semantically correct HTML content. If you want a different layout or styling for your H1, you want it to be smaller, bigger, more like, let's say, the H3 element, then you can use CSS to style it in the way that you like. It's important to use H1 as your first heading if you're using headings on your web page. It's a good rule of thumb to at least have an H1 on every single page. But that's not always necessary or always the case. But if you're using headings, you should always start with H1 followed by H2, etc., because this is the way that the browser also knows how to categorize your content and how to display it for every person out there. Some people who might not be using their actual eyes to read your content, they might have a screen reader, and therefore it's important for the tools that help them to read your web page to understand what order things are in. So instead of typing out all the content here, I'm simply gonna copy this H2 element by holding Alt and Shift and pressing the down key. And I'm gonna copy that for 6 rows. And I'm simply gonna change a couple of letters here. Same here. 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's save that and refresh. And there we see all the headings. I'm going to make this slightly bigger for you. There we go. So you can see the level 6 heading is quite small. I at least have rarely used the level 6 heading. You might be using them when you're creating different apps or web pages, but you might also be styling them differently. You might reserve one heading to use for buttons or have different kind of use cases for them, although they might be styled similarly. So how do paragraphs fit into this? Well, let's add a paragraph under our level 1 heading. We type P, and inside our paragraph element, we can type lorem, and then let's type 20 and hit enter. And then you get filler text, lorem ipsum text. And let's save, hit refresh in our browser, and here we can see how the paragraph is displayed compared to the level 1 heading. So there we go. If we make it a bit bigger, lorem 50, let's say, we refresh, and that's starting to look like, a newspaper article or a blog post with a title and some text inside it. And that's basically pretty much all there is to headings and paragraphs. You might see that some of the headings actually are smaller. Maybe the 5th and the 6th heading is smaller than the paragraph itself. Let's see. Let's add a paragraph element here, lorem 10. Hit refresh. Yeah, the paragraph seems to be bigger than the level 5 heading. The way you can check that is by hitting inspect. I'm going to full screen the browser so we can see better what's going on. So here we can see I'm inspecting the different elements in our browser. Level 5 heading we see has a font size of 0.83 EM, which is a sizing unit used on browsers. And I believe that the paragraph has a size of 1 EM. So as mentioned earlier, if you would like to use level 5 headings or level 6 headings in your document, in your web pages, and you would like that all of them are bigger than your paragraphs, that is a normal way to categorize your text so that the paragraph is actually smaller than the heading. You can do that with CSS styling, which we will get to in a later video. But by default, you can see that the style of headings is a bolder, larger font, whilst for paragraphs, it's a smaller, regular font. And that is it for this tutorial on headings and paragraphs. You can find the code we wrote in this video in the video description below. In the next part of this course, we will be learning how to add HTML images to our web pages. And if you like this video, give it a like and consider subscribing for more video tutorials on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I'll see you in the next one.